Assassinations became a method of showing muscle in Valente's Rochester. Throughout the late 1960s, multiple high-profile murders began to draw attention of law enforcement towards the Mafia. Samuel C. Rosati, the nephew of Valente's underboss, was found dead with several gunshot wounds to the head. Also killed were Norman Huck and Enrico Visconti. In 1970, Capo Salvatore Gingello collected over $100,000 in deposits for a gambling junket to Las Vegas, but the money vanished. Both Gingello and underboss Rosati blamed William, Billy, Lupo, a loan shark and former Jake Russo associate who was one of Valente's most trusted men. The accusation, never determined to be true, may have been a sign that he was becoming hostile towards Valente. When authorities found Lupo's body slumped over the wheel of his car on a dead-end street, robbed of his cash, it was discovered he was under federal investigation into loan sharking, and turned their attention towards the Rochester crime family. In an elaborate plan to draw attention away from the Rochester family, Valente ordered a special team to detonate bombs at various locations throughout the city. On October 12, 1970, bombs exploded and caused major damage to two black churches, the Monroe County Office Building, the federal courthouse, and the home of a union official. Perhaps plausibly at the time, police suspected anti-Vietnam War protesters or other radical groups and shifted resources away from the Mafia. Authorities had virtually no insight into how or why these explosions occurred, other than a report that men stole 89 sticks of dynamite from a construction site in Brockport days preceding. Surely unbeknownst to those who had planned the attack, the bombings came just days after several other bombings in other cities throughout the country, and a federal investigation into bomb threats was launched immediately. Amazed that this plan had succeeded, Valente ordered further bombings to 3 synagogues and the home of a federal judge. Noticing there was no pattern or direct target, investigators were now entirely focused on solving the bombing. Valente likewise succeeded in intimidating his enemies, who now understood he was relentless. Resenting the viciousness of their godfather, members of the Rochester family began to turn on Valente following the bombings in 1972. He was approached by his underboss Rosati and consigliere Picoretto, asking him to step down, accusing him of skimming profits and keeping them for himself. His underlings demanded he return the money or abdicate power, however Valente refused. Later, Valente felt disgraced but did not return the money. He however wanted to punish his men for this, therefore he ordered his trusted capo Dominic Chirico to organize a hit against Capo Gingello, as well as Rosati and Picoretto. However, to murder made members of the Mafia, Valente had to get permission of the other families, including the Pittsburgh and Bonanno crime family. The answer was no. Rosati, Gingello and Picoretto were safe but had heard of the plot against them and was out for revenge. They went to see the Bonanno crime family officials, with whom Picoretto was close, to have their support in the removal and probable murder of Valente, but their request was also turned down due to Valente's connections with the LaRocca crime family of Pittsburgh. Although they weren't allowed to murder Valente, they still wanted revenge. To achieve this, the trio murdered Dominic Chirico, a loyal Valente capo. He was killed by gunshot blast on June 5, 1972, on Rains Park, outside the home of his girlfriend. Chirico's slaying would prove to be devastating to the spurned Rochester boss. He was one of the most loyal captains in the family, serving both as personal bodyguard and member of Valente's special crew. Tensions inside the Valente family were now running high. Following the murder of Chirico, a meeting took place between the top members of the Mafia shortly before midnight on June 5, 1972, where Frank Valente agreed to retire to Arizona, where he had already been purchasing property. On December 15 of the same year, Valente was convicted of extortion in a case involving a building contractor in Batavia. The Valentes was now officially out of Rochester, and their ties to the Pittsburgh crime family slowly vanished. Samuel "Red" Rosati became the new boss of Rochester, with Sammy G. Gingello as the underboss. Rene Picoretto retained his position as the family advisor. Following his conviction, Frank Valente and his brother Constanza Valente moved to Arizona, where they died in 2008 and 2001 respectively.